この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for Kizumonogatari, Movie 2, Nekketsu-hen. Last time on Kizu, well, it was pretty awesome. Production, sound, music, soundtrack, decisions, animation, everything. Really good. Really good looking. Or I should say, instead of saying that it's good, because that's like a value proposition, I should say I liked it. And I did. It was really fun. And a pretty awesome work of art, I think. But also only the first part of this rather interesting story, and this interesting story is in and of itself the first part of a much larger other interesting story. I don't even know how many seasons of Monogatari series there are out there, and how many light novels there are past that. So are they LNs or are they just novels? I don't know that either. I don't know anything. I'm stupid. Anyway, in Kizu episode 1, or film 1, I don't know how I should refer to that. Again, I don't know anything. We followed Araragi as he ran into this ancient, super powerful vampire who was dying, named Kishshot Asarelia Orion Heart Underblade. I think I got all of it, but I'm not positive. Anyway, long name. Her new name is Shinobu, or we'll just call her Kishshot. Ran into her, ran away at first, and then turned around and made the decision to assist her, and in his mind, give up his life in doing so. But there's a bit of a catch when you assist a vampire by giving them all your blood, and that is, you're a vampire now. So Araragi Koyomi is now a vampire, and Kishshot is now really tiny, real small. But there's a lot of room to go for in this story. There are a number of things that we haven't really touched on yet, but we will. The one that I'm expecting this movie to focus on, at least at first, is the 3 vampire hunters who are responsible for her bloodied, armless, legless state. Guillotine Kata episode and fuck, I forgot the third one's name. I'm sure we'll be reminded soon enough. In any case, they're weird and scary and seem rather powerful. Not nearly as powerful as Oshino. We'll maybe see if there's any explanation for that. Probably not. I think Oshino's going to remain a man of mystery. But there are a bunch of things that still need to happen. Araragi still needs to become human, although I think that won't happen until all of the body parts of Kishshot are brought back to her. There might be some stuff going on with Hanakawa. We'll see. If I remember correctly, the thing with her and her first experience with Black Hanakawa occurred at a similar time frame, but I'm not entirely sure how the timeline shakes out. But yeah, Aragi's got to get his stuff back, and I assume that Kishshot is going to undergo some significant changes as well, because when we met her at the start of Bake and throughout Bake, she wasn't acting the way that she does now. She was very quiet, and in fact silent. I don't think she said a single word essentially throughout. So that's the Shinobu character, and I'm kind of wondering how the Kishshot character, which she's still acting like, very forward and kind of bubbly, but also a little bit arrogant, and she's a many 100-year-old vampire. She's got a right to be, I think. How that character turns into the silent little girl in the corner that we've met before, Shinobu Oshino. I don't know. So, there's a lot that needs to happen. I assume we're going to end up clashing with the demon hunters at least once during this movie, but other than that, I really don't have any expectations except that it'll probably be pretty good, and it'll probably look pretty good. I think there were about 8 months between the airing date of the first film and the airing of the second film, and I don't know how production, like when production started, whether they started producing the second film immediately after, or if some of it was overlapped. No clue. But yeah, should be interesting. So I was hoping to do a comment spotlight at the start of this video and talk about some of the comments on the previous one, but there just aren't that many. Like, only patrons so far have seen that video. Like, I just released it. So maybe there are new comments filtering in. Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like there are a couple filtering in, but I haven't had time to go through and read through them and see if there's anything that I want to respond to. But yeah, comments are good, and maybe I'll figure out a way to get some comments in before the next one. I don't know. In any case, I want to get into it. Let's get into it. We got an hour and 8 minutes to get through. Okay. And interestingly, the first film, in the versions that I downloaded, at least, the first film, which was about the same length, it was about 4 gigabytes, and this one's about 6. So what that means in terms of, like, the content is a lot of change frame to frame, right? Because that's what costs data space when you're using a compressed algorithm like H.264. So I don't know if that's gonna, like, influence anything or if it'll be noticeable, but maybe more animated stuff or, like, varied scenes. I don't know. Or maybe more detail. I don't know. Or maybe they just changed the way that they were doing the compression and the version that I have is just weird. I don't know. Again, I don't know anything. Or at least I don't know everything. I just know what I know. So I'm starting to blather and dilly-dally, so let's not do that. I don't want to waste too much of your time. So let's get into Kizu, Episode 2. I've got it up and ready. It's at 0 seconds. I am once again using the Eiyuu V2 subs, or I think they're V4? I don't know. Once again, using those subs, they seemed to do pretty well last time. There were a few things that were translated a little bit oddly, but some people in the comments, like patrons and some people on Discord, helped figure out what those were. Like the line that Hanekawa says about there being no reward being closer to what would be the point, and some other things like that. So thank you to those people. I really appreciate that, and I hope that continues. Or the subs just are good. Either way is cool with me. Anyway, I'm blathering. I've got Kizu up and ready to go. We'll do this the same format as before. There will be picture-in-picture versions of this reaction video with the video up there, so you don't have to sync anything up or anything like that. Available in the description. Come back here to the YouTube video for discussion at the end. YouTube video will be timer-based, because copyright, and it'll have a beep beep timer at the beginning, which will go boop 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 beep, and on the beep in the green light is the exact same frame that Kizu starts playing on my screen. So if you're playing along with your own version of Kizu, that's probably when you want to do so. Either way works, same content essentially, but whatever works better for you. Zol. Let's do it. Beep beep timer goes here. I'm excited. All right. Okay, continuing to be letterbox like this. I'm not sure if that's the right term for what I've been using. Whoa. Oh, hi. So are we starting in media res again? Oh, he's speaking Nihongo now. Pitiful boy. Man, he's a big dude. All right. So not a fight to the death? All right. Oof. Okay. Going blue. Last one was all red. Was that just an SOS? I think so. This is oh no, that's the actual Morse code for that. Cool. This is a dope soundtrack. All right, so will we head back a bit and build up to this point? Aikido for dummies. It's real hard to learn martial arts from a book. Baseball. Dramaturgy. That was his name. Oh, really? He's a vampire hunting vampire? Ow. Are there vampires of his stature? I mean, apparently. And why wouldn't the other vampire hunters kill him? Hmm. Hanekawa? Hi. Fancy seeing you here. And again, the cherry blossoms. And again, the kind of... Ah! Kamimashita. Sure, buddy. Nice try. What? I didn't see anything. Uh-huh. Yep. What was that flash, I wonder? Hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sure. Probably better than him. Only what I know. That's a tough one. It's great to have ideals, but if you can't back them up. You say you want a revolution. Shit's about to go down. Maybe. And now we finally see a little bit of a fang in there. Yeah, just maybe. Never know. Yeah. Why do you want to run into a vampire? Or is that a different Nande? Ah, that shadow. Speaking of cravings. Keep it together, Araragi. That's gonna come off as really cruel. He just wants her to leave because he's tempted, right? Damn, dude. Yeah, what money? Delete? Damn, why? Oof. Whoa! Back to that, eh? Man, that was cruel. It is, but it isn't yours. Okay. fighting outside the school. Much bigger, much stronger, much more experienced vampire. Thud, thud, thud. Flick. Oh. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. God, the line work, even in motion, it's so crisp. Wow. No way he's gonna find you. Nah. Was that a blended photo? Or video? Okay. That's pretty dope. I love the footfalls. Hi. Oh. My god, the water. The water effects are so good. So good. Baseball. He's a lefty? It's not very effective. That's not a baseball. But he can regenerate too, right? Not if you keep hitting him. The sounds of bat and ball. Yeah, the crowd. Oh, that's awesome. It's so witty. Okay. Uh, Rodorolada? Oh. Okay, so he can't. Okay. Strength from sire, that makes sense. I guess. Hmm. Yeah, full Dogeza. And the rain stops. Okay then. Oh. Hi, how long have you been standing there? Hmm. The sun is coming up. Mm-hmm. Pushing people away, Hedgehog's dilemma style. Yeah. It's a double entendre, yep. Oh. The sun's coming up though. But it's gonna be used like that. Okay. Okay. Is she gonna think that she lit him on fire with her panties? Hmm. How do you put that back on, or kind of peg leg style? You just like attach it? Yeah. Don't talk with your mouth full, Shinobu. Good question. Does this have to do with my question about why she doesn't have a lot of minions? Hasn't been drinking blood? Make it their own? In what way and why? Hmm. Oh, she's aged up. All right. Same bag. Hmm. Hmm. Wow, he's telling her everything. Shaped like Oshino's crosses. She has, though. If that's actually what she was doing. Was she already dealing with the cat? Bright red. Hmm. Stressful reality, huh? Hmm. Kind of badass looking, though. Privacy. Just watching. Hmm. Hmm. Thanks for the exposition dump. You're too cute, Hanakawa. What is that? Just trying to be helpful. Yeah, it would taint your soul, right? And you went to the bookstore after you saw my panties. Hmm. Hmm. We always love glasses, girls. Mm-hmm. Oh, got another one. Episode. That's spinny crossy guy, right? Oh, okay. Uh. 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 Dude. What? Okay. Fair enough. But he still has a shadow. Or is that not a shadow but a reflection? Wait. Hmm. Okay, new battlefield. Those are cool stairs. I don't think this one's gonna surrender the same way. Don't put yourself into danger, Hanakawa. Alright. Then what are you? Pearls before swine. Alright, here we go. Does it function like a boomerang? Ow. I guess not. What's with this instant transmission stuff? Back to running away. What have you got up your sleeve, Araragi? And is he not healing? Something about the cross? Hanakawa, stay out of this. Oh, now you fucked up. Oh, those are guts. Now you fucked up. Oshino? Hi. Okay, but can we fix Hanakawa? That is cold, Oshino. What would have changed? Sure. You offered. It is now. Ah. That works? I guess that works. Oh, you. Oh. Oh, okay. I think you need a new dress. Much closer to whole. Where did those clothes come from? But still young. And looks very much like Hanakawa. Okay. Okay. What about Guillotine Kara? So, yeah, what's his deal? So, what makes him so dangerous? Yeah. Alexander Anderson style, eh? That's a fully CGI Aragi. I think. And Hanako is still following. Nope. Perk. For food. Hmm. Still trying to push her away, huh? Want to protect you? Yes. That's the weakness you were talking about. And you're surprised this girl fell in love with you? Come on. Hmm. Oh. Oh. And he's dead. So precious. All right, dude. Mmm. Mmm. Nope. We'll see about that. Oshino running? What's the rush? Hmm? Negotiations didn't go as planned? Oh, fuck. By guillotine cutter, I assume. Bruh. Go get her back. Kill. Or was that give up? And she's still commando. I'm sure. Yeah, let's do that. Otherwise, I think the threat's pretty clear. Devilman style. Whoa. What? Priest on a cross, eh? Black flag. Credits? How much is left? 6.5 minutes ish? Not quite credits. Just a wavering darkness. Oh, there we go. Hmm. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Interesting film. I don't think there's going to be as much to talk about uh, for this one, but should probably still be able to squeeze a good bit of discussion out of it. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time, which is that there will be a cut soon, and we'll skip forward however long it takes me to run through this. It'll probably take like an hour, hour and a half. We'll see, depending on how much stuff I end up writing down, and then we'll go through general notes and stuff, and then specific details and frame by frames of certain things that I want to see again. Okay, so catch you on the flip side. All right, it's about an hour and a half later, and I think we do have a lot to talk about. There's some good stuff here and some interesting stuff. So the first thing that I want to start with is a little thought, well, kind of a big thought that I had. It's not super clear, sorry, but about just the structure of the trilogy as a thing. And how it impacts the structure of the individual films. So there's sort of two ways to do a trilogy when you're doing when you're trying to cover a whole story that necessarily spans multiple movies. As far as I know, Kizumonogatari is all one book. So it doesn't have to like worry about this kind of stuff, and it can follow its own total structure. But when you decide to break that into 3 films, you kind of end up with something weird where the first film, well, you have 2 options. You can go like Lord of the Rings style and turn each section into its own story, or its own 3-act structure, and all of this sort of boils down to the traditional 3-act narrative structure. So with like Fellowship and Two Towers and Return of the King, each one has its own distinct arc with its own 3 acts, and its own climax. It's got its own exposition, its own establishment of characters, its own inciting incident, its own rising action, and its own resolution. So that's one way to go with it. And the other way is to, in the interest of not changing the overall story, is to just split it and let each film be an act. And there are positives and negatives to this. It's a trade-off. So on the positive side, you don't alter the overall story too much, and it ends up being one kind of coherent thing. But on the negative side, what you end up with is a first film that's essentially just the first act and ends with, or comes near ending with, the inciting incident and leaves everything hanging. And I think most interestingly, what happens with the second act, because the second act is the rising action, and by itself lacks much in terms of setup and lacks much in terms of a climax. And I think that's what happens here with Nekketsu-hen. While I think it functions fairly well as a standalone film, I think that as far as a satisfying viewing experience, it comes up a little bit lackluster and sort of feels like a bunch of action happening, but without much clear like up and down or peak and valley type stuff. It's just the center section of the story, and so it lacks a satisfying ending and much of a setup, because the setup has already been done in the first film, and the ending will come later. The actual climax will come later. That said, there is some structure here, and I think most of it focuses on the relationship between between Araragi and Hanakawa. I think that's where the main meat in terms of a structured story comes into this particular film. So if Nekketsu-hen is the first act, then well, what does that consist of? Exposition, establishing your characters and their relationships, introducing us to Araragi again, but introducing us to this version of Araragi, introducing us to Kishot, to Oshino, to Hanakawa, and setting up the relationships between them that are going to be explored later, and how the inciting incidents of the films or the story as a whole cause them to collide and make interesting things happen. But there's a lot of exposition in Nekketsu-hen, a lot of setup. So late in the first act, I would say that the inciting incident of the whole thing and the main thing that occurs in Nekketsu-hen is the decision by Araragi to save Kishot. So this, of course, leads to the need to deal with this incident and deal with the repercussions of it, which would be the aftermath, the mission, and the need to fight the three hunters and obtain her body parts. And the sort of drive for Araragi, which is to become human once more. But this becomes a little bit weird because there's one other defining feature of the first act, and that is the setup of the dramatic question. And this isn't exactly because of the structure, but because Kizu is a prequel. So the dramatic question is usually the thing that we as the audience want answered, and we have a lot of the answers already because we've already seen these characters in the future. We know that Araragi is going to survive. We know that Kishot will survive, but in a very different form. We know that Hanakawa and Araragi won't end up romantically engaged, so there's no will he get the girl question. And we also know that by the time of Bake, Araragi will have shed most of his vampiric abilities and form. So there's little ability to ask a question like, will Araragi survive this thing? Will Kishot survive / whatever? Will he get the girl? Will he be able to get his humanity back? And so the dramatic question of Kizu seems to be less of a will and more of a how. It's more that we're interested in how these things will play out, and how, because we already know where the destination is, at least the start of Bake, how do we get from here to there? What changes in between? And that's kind of interesting, I think. So then, if that's the first act, then Nekketsu-hen is, of course, the second act. And the second act, in a traditional 3-act structure, focuses almost entirely on what's referred to as rising action, the attempts by the protagonist to resolve the problem. And usually in a traditional 3-act structure, this doesn't work super well. The protagonist has for various reasons, usually something personal to do with like self-actualization or understanding of self and gaining experience and stuff like that. Usually they fail, or at least have problems, or things get worse and worse, whatever. And I think that's the majority of the content of this film. Araragi makes some headway. He defeats dramaturgy. He defeats episode, but not without loss, and not easily, and not without help. So Oshino serves as our mentor character for sure, but Hanakawa also as sort of a secondary protagonist, or a deuteragonist, something like that. So he's inexperienced, he's unskilled, he has little understanding of himself as a person, as a human, or as a vampire, and I think that there's a significant enough focus on this desire to reclaim humanity that it's worth questioning what that means. Like what does Araragi think he means when he says that he wants to regain his humanity, when he expresses a desire to do that? And I don't think it's a question that has a clear answer, at least for the character. And I think this is Well, really interesting. When we first meet Araragi and Kizu, he's very real, very human, but he's lacking some aspects of that. He's lacking some self consistency. Uh, Part of this is that he's lying to Hanekawa, to others, and I'd say to himself about the reasons that he's alone. He's got all these justifications, which we talked about kind of at length in the last reaction, but they all kind of fall flat. They're sort of wonky, and I would say that in the context of this story, one core aspect of this humanity that we're talking about has to do with socialization, with sharing burdens, with the requisite empathy to experience what your friends experience what the people you care about experience. And I think that Araragi over the course of this film, despite the statements to the contrary that he must give up his humanity, and at the end that this is inhuman, that I have become just a monster. His actions sort of speak louder than his statements and his beliefs about what he's done, because in doing this he has stepped up and attempted to save somebody that he cares about and expressed his caring about her, as well as just before that making a direct promise to her that he will help her and does want her to be his friend. So while he may physically become more of a monster, in some sense, at least to my mind, he appears to be more inwardly human than ever before. And I think that's interesting, but it's also sort of unfinished because the story ends on an action point and there's no real climax or serious resolution here. But I think it's a really interesting setup and like trade-off kind of thing. Yeah. Oh crap, there was something else that I wanted to say on that note, and it just brain farted. I was building up to it, and did I write it down after that? Oh shit. Oh, yeah. So another part of this is something that I think I've talked about a few times in other reactions, is the Jungian idea of like of the shadow, or the unconscious. And sometimes you can think of this in terms of like the monster within, and you might say, or I will say, that I think that Araragi by the end of Nekketsu has come to accept a portion of his vampiric nature. Um, like he's unable to fight without it, right? There, if he were just human, there would be there would be no way he could defeat dramaturgy, let alone episode or guillotine cutter. And I think the turning point here kind of happens when he uses some of his vampiric nature to save Hanekawa after she is gored by episode's giant cross. So I'm brain farting again. God damn it. So okay, so part of Jungian's idea of self actualization is coming to understand and accept your own inner monster, your own ability to be cruel. And I think if we symbolically call Aragi's vampirism that, then that seems to be what we're building toward, is like a potential acceptance of that nature. And with that comes great power. The power to harm, certainly, which we see more in the fight against dramaturgy. It's used as force to subdue him, and it works. But then it's also valuable in relationships. It's useful to heal, and that's what he does for Hanakawa. And then finally, once he sort of fully accepts that and gives up on regaining his humanity, it's used to protect. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's an interesting way of thinking about it. But again, there's no climax yet. Now, there is a structure to this film, but again, the fights against dramaturgy and episode and guillotine cutter, if we can even call that much of a fight, those sort of seem to serve the greater narrative more than they do the story within this particular film. The internal structure of Nekketsu-hen has to be subordinate to the overall structure of the trilogy, and that's just because of the decision made by the staff at Shaft to not change the story in order to make it 3 more standalone films. So it does have an internal structure, but it lacks some of the characteristics of a standard structure, most notably a satisfying climax. And I think that's probably the weakest part of this film. And that's not to say that it's a weak film by any stretch. I think it's very strong, but it does lack a satisfying ending. And maybe that's a strength in and of itself, because I was actually thinking, hey, maybe I'll just watch the third one. But then I looked at it and I was like, it's an hour and a half. That's a lot of time. And I'm probably going to discuss this for another hour or so. So maybe let's not do that. So I'm going to have to wait a week. Sorry to tease you with that. I'm sorry. But anyway, lacks a climax. And so while it serves as the second act for the story, this overarching story of Araragi meeting Kishat and his eventual journey toward probably becoming entirely human again, its own structured story seems to be more focused on the relationship between Araragi and Hanakawa. And we might say that the inciting incident here, or the end of the first act here, is Araragi's rather needlessly cruel expressions of emotion toward Hanakawa during the conversation that they first have, where he sort of intentionally creates a rift between them and sort of sets up his own dramatic question of whether that relationship can be repaired. And then that there's some development in their relationship that occurs when they're talking with in the abandoned cram school with Shinobu there. So the question would be, like, can they repair their relationship? And then I think that the rising action and the failure here occurs when Hanakawa is injured, and Araragi must rely on Oshino to put his head on straight and figure out a way to save her. And then he has to integrate a little bit with his shadow self, his vampiric side, in order to use that power that comes with risk of losing his humanity, in order to heal her. And I think that the climax there, if we can call it that, is when he... Well, there are a couple. There's one when he asks, "Will you be my friend?" But more than that, it's when he makes the promise to her that he will stand by her. And I think that sort of resolves a major portion of that little arc. And is rewarded with pantsu. So, nice. Nice. But I just wanted to mention this because I think it's interesting to sort of examine the changes that occur when one story is split up into 3, and how that's managed by the people making it. And I think it's totally respectable to chop up a story like this, but again, it comes with trade-offs. And with that, I think that's all I had to say on that specific topic. So let's pull up the video and scan on through it. So we start off kind of in media res, not quite to the same extent that we did during Tekketsu, where we really start right in the middle of the story and then jump back a good ways and follow up to there, like, why is Araragi burning? But here we start with the setup of the fight with dramaturgy, and kind of know that there's going to be other stuff before this to get to this point, just given where we left off in the last film. And the first thing that's immediately apparent is, holy shit, water. Water effects, rain splashing, and drips and drops. And this continues throughout the course of the fight. So just from a technical standpoint, this is holy shit worthy. Because not only do the characters look amazing, and they do, they look amazing. And in these far shots, I believe that they're CG, but I'm not positive. They look fantastic, but also these are drawn water droplets, like in every scene. No matter how the characters move, they look right, with drips and drops coming off of everywhere. Freaking amazing. There's something interesting about the size differential between them. Even starting off, we feel like Araragi is on the back foot here. We're looking up from his perspective at dramaturgy, and down from his perspective at Araragi. It's pretty clear that he's in a bad spot right now. So then we get the awesome title and the cool title music. It's groovy. There's a bunch of Morse code. It says Nisioi scene. I actually went and translated the Morse code, and it's Nisioi scene. And then we've got the voice actors, Araragi Koyomi versus the 3 voice actors for dramaturgy episode and guillotine cutter. And then full title, and we hop back a ways. So he's prepping for this fight, looking at these Aikido books, trying to learn stuff. Pretty cool. Oh, another thing that happens in... Wait. Yeah. Another thing that's immediately set up here is there's a bit of honor in this fight. There's purpose here. And I think that this is called back to when it's expressed that dramaturgy is doing this for work, whereas episode is doing it for self-interest, and guillotine cutter is doing it for faith. Dramaturgy doesn't seem to have much desire to fight Araragi. He's doing it with a goal in mind, and so a trade-off and terms of combat are fine by him. So there's a respect that I immediately gained for this character. Like, oh, he's a cool dude, and I think that respect is sort of doubled up on when he chooses to surrender, knowing that he's been beaten or will be. So that's pretty cool. And then we hop over to talking with Shinobu. There's some very goofy stuff as she bam. Reminds me of something that my dog does. She'll I'll be petting her and she'll raise her head really quickly and jam me in the chin. So anytime I'm playing with her, I have to keep my teeth clenched, because otherwise I'll bite my tongue off. I've come close a couple times. It's rough. Anyway, so yeah, dramaturgy. He's a big boy. I feel like this line is more important than I understand. This whole eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, vampire for a vampire thing. And just maybe this is metagaming a little bit, but because the preview seems like Araragi and Kishot are going to end up in conflict with each other, so the vampire for a vampire thing might come back and be interesting. So in that case, it would serve as setup. And here we have the conversation with Hanakawa, which starts out great and gets not so great. Yeah. So again, we're juxtaposing her with Cherry Blossoms, very clear and straightforward. And she immediately calls him out on the panties thing, and he starts skipping. I think this is a really clever way to show him freaking out, and I think it works. It got a giggle out of me for sure. She's rather self-aware and aware of him, but yeah. So the lining, it's perverted. What are you doing out here? He protesteth too much about porno mags. And then she expresses a desire to talk. And he's like, yeah, I've been studying Spanish, but he hasn't. Made rather evident by his use of spasibo. We get another, I don't know everything, just what I know, which is great. He tries to move on, and stupid platitudes, like stupid bullshit is what he's talking about. And she comes back with something legitimate question, but not one with an easy answer, and certainly not one that Aragi is prepared to answer. And at this point, he starts to get kind of fed up. Head home soon. Might run into a vampire. And she expresses that that's kind of why she's walking around, which raises the question, why are you looking for a vampire? My assumption here is that she's already dealing with Black Hanakawa. She's already dealing with that, and either consciously or subconsciously is looking for a way out. She expresses this as like being at that age where she's looking for extraordinary things, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, craving for the extraordinary. And at this point, he starts panting, as though it's becoming too much for him. And expresses that, and then throughout the next couple of lines, wait, what? I thought that the heavy breathing, the angry breathing from Aragi continued after that. In fact, I'm sure of it. But I can't find it. So weird. Anyway, I know that it continues and it colors the rest of the conversation. Anyway. Again, he kind of fumbles over himself trying to deny his desire to be friends with her. And she's entirely confused by this because it's entirely at odds with the way he's been acting before, which is strange. It's weird. And his excuses kind of fall apart. He's trying to like reach for things. One of which is, I'm only after your money. Which is kind of like a line from an old movie. You know, it's like, I'm just toying with you. I've got ulterior motives. But it's pretty clear to us as the audience that he's just trying to drive her away. Whether that's to protect himself and his sort of twisted ideas about human strength, or to try to protect her, or sort of a weird combination of the two, and also, if you've seen Ava, a kind of a hedgehog's dilemma thing. Letting her in means allowing himself to be hurt if she is. But he's fumbling. He's really not doing a very good job of this, and it's kind of funny, actually. It's kind of funny how much he's struggling. I think at this point is when we really start to see the teeth come out. I think before this, there's no real visual indication of his vampire-ness, but at this point, the fangs are there, and I think that's a tell. It's a part of the reason that he's trying to drive her away. Then he tries to delete her number, and I think this is pretty funny. When Hanakawa grabs his phone and puts her number in it, it's like super fast, super confident, and like straightforward. And when he does it, he's like fumbling and failing and like fighting against the phone to try and delete her number before he gets these flashbacks, and then goes back to this like, I'm a badass sort of pose to delete it and show it to her. Kind of goofy. Yeah. And then at 10:20, so just a few moments after this, she is way too kind for her own good and accepts it and then runs. And this is the first piece of really dope animation in the film. IMO. And it really is. I mean, there's so much going on with, again, amazing movement through 3D space and the camera tracking her and moving around her. It's really cool. So, and then he expresses this, with this I've regained some of my strength as a human. But have you? I think it depends on your definition of humanity. I think that's a theme here, maybe, or at least a through line. He doesn't look very happy as he's walking away here. That's why fighting dramaturgy and retrieving Kishot's leg, that's my priority, and it'll be no problem, because I've gotten stronger as a human. But what he needs to do is get stronger as a vampire. Kind of. Alright, and then we get to the fight. And the fight is freaking awesome. So this honestly, like, hot damn. So again, as they move, water droplets splashing off of them. Like, I know it's just a bunch of lines, but that's a lot of lines, and they had to be done frame by frame. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to add in this rain effect, and the way he sort of imposingly sways toward him, and just the immense difference in size between them. And we've got Araragi doing some shadow boxing punches, like, yeah, come on. It almost reminds me of the Indiana Jones scene with the sword guy, you know, and the gun pull. And there's this sort of sigh in all of dramaturgy's action. It's like, I really have to fight this fucking pissant. All right, let's go. And then we get an impact with this kick, and this is the first repeat cut that we get in the film, and I think it's a really effective one. Wham, 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 and we don't see the actual impact of it until a little bit later. Boom. And then the sound effect is his arm goes flying. Hilarious. And then absolute horror in Araragi. Like, oh shit, I might have bitten off more than I can chew. And then there's another repeat cut. I think it's twice in here. It might be interspersed with other cuts of him being in pain. Boom. Shaky cam. Amazing water effects. All hand done. Really great looking. And then we get the flight. Araragi flees. And as he does, again, there's this, like, in dramaturgy's action, the way he's, like, just slowly turns and watches him walk away. First off, it's beautiful. I mean, I know it's really subtle, but that's a really gorgeous, subtle turn as he tracks Araragi running. All right, then. You gonna run? I'll chase. Oh, you want to go through this door? Let me help you with that. Whoosh. And I'm not positive. In fact, I'm not sure at all. Nah. I was thinking that maybe that was CG or hybrid, but I don't think so. Here we have CG environment, of course. 3D glass shatter. But gorgeous slow-mo, and then we come into this fully CG classroom with CG desks and stuff, and then sort of ice skate through them and send them flying, and it's really exciting and bombastic. And oh, I just closed it. I'm stupid. Do do ba do boo. We're still recording properly, right? Just want to, hold on, double check. Because if any of this is gone, I'm going to be really pissed. Yeah, we're good. Okay. I don't know where I was. Past 10 minutes at least. Okay, great. just about there. Yeah, so in the classroom, just like skating around, shoving desks and having them collapse and move around and stuff. Really, really impactful punches and cool stuff. And he runs away almost like a, well, he is a cartoon character, kind of. Bounces into the door, then pushes through it. He does a little skid here as he can't get his footing. Really cool. And then hides as dramaturgy clumps over. And then we get this little mini hand. And then here, this little mini hand, I think, is an actual image of a hand that's been put there and imposed between layers of stuff that's then been colored red and made shiny with like a glass or metallic filter. Really weird looking. I think really effective to make it look weird and strange. And he does this sort of badass like whoosh. Whoosh. And that's awesome with a spray of blood. He's so happy about this. And then he tries to go Super Saiyan and then runs away. Throughout the fight, Dramaturgy's footfalls are like really oomphy. Boom, 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 boom. Really selling his size. Yeah. Very cool. He gets out here. Aragi does some Aikido stuff, and there's a flash of it right there. Yeah. Put him in an arm bar. No problem. He does. Loses both arms this time. And we're back to screaming. And then there's this amazing scene as he runs away on his back with no arms. And Dramaturgy sort of gives chase. Crazy effects animation here. Just like the detail in the muddy water that's being kicked up, along with the sort of Utapon cube type stuff, and the changing art style as things get blurry and really fast. Super cool. He's like a freight train barreling down on Araragi. It's great. And then he gets his arms back mid scurry. Again, with insane water effects and animation going on. And the whole thing is all animated in this crazy foreshortened angle. Whoosh. And hell, this, like, the brushstrokes in here look like charcoal. I'm sure that they're digital, but they look almost like charcoal in there to make this water, this muddy, dirty water look cool. And then he continues running backward in sort of a crab walk. And flips away. Okay, we'll skip ahead a little bit. So he comes out with the baseballs and starts chucking them. Very little effect. But then he throws another one, and I think we see it. Do we see it is a baseball? No, it's just sort of an orb that he's holding. We don't... Oh, no, it is a baseball. He throws it. Oh, okay, so that one, it's more of the same. It is a baseball. He tosses it up and down. So why is it black, and why is this one so much more effective? I don't know. But here, again, we have another set of repeat cuts, this time in slow-mo. Water spraying everywhere. And I think the sound effects are slow-mo too. Hits him again and again, and runs up to him. Oh yeah, and as he's doing this, these baseball hit noises. I wonder if they like went to a batting cage to record those, or just did it in the Foley studio. And he runs up and we know later that he's holding up a steamroller type thing, or like a track roller. I don't even know what it is. But just the way it's posed, it's as though he's rejoicing after a victory in front of a crowd, and the crowd is there. I think that's amazing. Also, the music for this whole fight is awesome. Actually, the music for all the fights is kind of awesome. Yeah. But dramaturgy knows when he's beat, and goes into a full dogeza. Yeah. Also informs us that Aragi is unique, special case, because of his lineage. And then he does a full thing. I will never lay a hand on you again. Please spare my life. Damn. The sky is clear. Dramaturgy just disappears. And Hanakawa is watching. Another thing, when they were starting the fight, the flag was waving in the storm. Now it's sort of relaxed. I think the flag is an interesting symbol throughout, especially because we end essentially on a frame of a black flag, which is interesting. So she sees him. He's continuing this sort of farce of not wanting to know her or anything like that. And then, yeah, she calls him out. Liar. Bingo. Good job, Hanakawa. They have a little yelling match about money, assets, body, some entendre. Great. And then he says this sort of jokingly, thinking there's no way, right? This is an easy way to push her away. But she's more than happy to go ahead and show him her panties. It's a small price to pay. She's really genuinely interested in being friends with him and getting closer to him, which is pretty cool. And that covers the first page of notes. Okay. Assets, Pantsu. Yeah, all right. And got it. And his surprise is amazing. And then this is sort of a reprisal of that not a reprisal, a remake of that famous image of sunrise over the earth from the moon. But in this case, it's the sun coming up is seeing the pants, and it's pretty great. it's pretty great. Really sexy panties, just saying. And she offers to do even more. And he runs up. It's like, nope. And bows before Pantsu. Stop. And her very satisfied face here. Like, yeah, you know it. And finally, please be my friend. Very cute. So we reobtain her leg. This cut of this zipper is freaking good. And it's so slow. Like, Jesus, look at it. Jesus, so good. All right, and then she's like a little cat trying to get it. Very cute. And then this is just hilarious. Hilarious. All right. So they head out. I believe that this is a CG Araragi and a CG Oshino back here. Of course, I'm not sure still, but yeah, it's there. Ask some questions about arms and regeneration. There's one line in this conversation that's rather interesting to me, which is what he says about the vampire hunter's reason for doing this. Those guys want to take her body and make it their own. They're not just hunting her to kill her. There's something else going on. Maybe. I think. I don't know. Okay. So, set up for the other two. Can I really become human again? He's doubting Kiss Shot. Oshino reassures him. I didn't kind of realize that this was a sort of almost a catchphrase for Oshino. The whole "did something good happen?" In this case, it's kind of goofy. Why the long face? You know, doesn't quite match up. Don't talk like you see through me, but he kind of does. And yeah, not that hard to read Araragi. So then we meet Kiss Shot Phase 2. Not even her final form. And I went and I frame by framed this whole sequence to see if there were any other Easter eggs, like the Band-Aid, or weren't. It's just a really cool piece of animation that was clearly modeled off of Ballerina's booty. She hella cute, just saying. I think this might be my favorite form. Very cute. Hanekawa walking. And I think this is a CG Hanekawa in the background. Something about the arm movement just makes me think that it might not be, but I don't know. So then we have this conversation in here. Again, we're continuing with amazing subtle camera movement in CG space. Have a conversation about the whole speak the devil type thing. She wants to meet a superhuman creature. Hit a dead end, wanted to change in her life. Again, I get the feeling that she's already dealing with the Black Hanekawa stuff and either consciously or unconsciously is searching for a way out. But I don't know. And then an amazing scene, which is kind of a reversal of what we've come to expect, which is Araragi ogling girls. Here we have a girl ogling Araragi. And we're not in either of the characters' perspective. We're throughout Kizu, we've been in more of an omniscient perspective. But yeah, she's like prompting him to change, and he's like, yeah, so can I privacy? No? Okay, I guess I'll change. And she bought him tidy whities and boxers, and she's just like sitting there watching intently, like, yeah, take your clothes off. I think it's great. It's a great little reversal here. And interesting to have Araragi as the objectified party. I think it's cute that she kind of wakes up and looks terrible, says this, slumps back into sleep. She feels him up a little bit. And this turns into a bit of banter, like, oh, have you touched lots of men's bodies? And she's like, nah, you got me. Never. She's super embarrassed. He seems to clue into this at this point, and the little side eye that he gives her is great. Gets real close. She gets real uncomfortable. Very cute. And then she turns back to kind of a default, let's clean up stuff. Finds the porno. Hilarious. And I think I'd say that she put it together. So the night you ran into me, before you met the vampire, you went and bought some porn? I wonder what could have inspired that. Also, the fact that it's Megane, it's glasses girls, you know. All right, so then we turn to episode, and I think this is the well, he's a dick. I do not like episode. He's super chuny with his gigantic over the top cross thing and his outfit and his everything. This sequence where she forgets and then shoves her hand into her brain and mangles it a bit. I assume it's to like cause her brain to reform and somehow that leads to regaining memories. I don't know. Just so casual about it. I remembered. Oh, okay then. So he has a deep hatred of vampires. Although he seems to be willing to work with dramaturgy. At least in the last film he was. So, don't know how that works. But, yeah. Just a thought. This kind of plays into the idea of extremes. Like, he's a half vampire, but he doesn't accept, partly because the world doesn't, he doesn't accept either part of himself. Doesn't see himself as human or vampire. He just wants to hunt monsters. He just wants to hunt what he sees as monsters. But in doing so, he really is a monster himself. And kind of the most monstrous of the three, even with the shit that Guillotine Cutter is willing to do. So, laughs at him. We've got this setup of Hanakawa heading this way, so that'll come back later. I hate picking on weaklings, but I love picking on bad guys. And then calls him a monster. Aragi almost responds with, "You're the monster," and then decides there's no point. At least that's my reading of it, is that he just pearls before swine. There's no reason to talk to this guy anymore. Fuck him. Let's fight. Nah, never mind. I have nothing to say to you. And then the music kicks in. And it's not what I expected at all. It's almost a Hanakawa theme, I would say. That's what it most reminds me of. We get some awesome fight animation. Spinning and swirling. Moving and grooving. And then we get a sequence of ha-ha-ha-has from episode, with much cross throwing and many injuries to Araragi. Again, insane effects animation, just absolutely nuts. Not sure why we have this thing of the cross in here, but okay. And he can teleport, which we learn is turning into mist and going places, I guess. Again, Aragi on the back foot. Lots of these ha-ha-ha-has. Yeah, that's the laughter of a protagonist. Definitely not an evil character. And then there are a bunch of them. There's one where it's two in a row. Yeah, right there. And he's fucking him up. For sure. And then Hanakawa pops in and tries to do the supporting a friend thing. And gets a cross to the gut for it. And it's kind of beautiful the way she spews guts and gore around her in a circle. I mean, it's intended to be stylized that way. And his absolute glee at having, well, preyed upon a weakling, someone much weaker than he is, which he just said that he didn't like to do. So, all right. Tries to shove her guts back in. Doesn't work. And she, even as she's dying, basically, is trying to tell him the way to victory. So, he gets real mad about this. We get, I think I would call this a callback to the head tilts. This time used in combat, which is pretty cool. I want to believe that anyway. And then the animation gets amazing. Not that it wasn't before, but holy shit. As he's just screaming. Amazing work by the voice actor, too. Just flying around at the speed of sound. Ends up in this stadium. Huge explosions, super awesome. What'll happen if I cover you in sand? I really don't know how this actually played out. I'm not sure. But it works, and he gets on top of him and starts to strangle him. We get a series of frames. The only one that I couldn't like translate just off of a basic knowledge of Latin was colere, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not gonna be able to pronounce French, sorry, which is anger. The next ones are brutalite and dolor. In Latin it would be dolor, but whatever. And then muerte, which is murder. So brutality, pain, murder. Yeah. And Oshino appears behind him. Time to stop, buddy. You're gonna lose your humanity if you kill him. Which is interesting, considering that I think that a major theme / through line of this movie is the meaning of humanity. So to kill someone in a blind rage would be the kind of thing that would cause you to lose your humanity, according to Oshino. Interesting. Aragi is distraught. We get the line. You seem very energetic, Genki. Match is over. He already fainted. And then Aragi is real pissed at Oshino. Like, why didn't you help? Why didn't you save Hanakawa? Well, it's not part of the bargain. So Oshino is a very neutral character. He's not going to step outside of himself in order to assist. It's in trade. And then there's a bit of wordplay here, which I went and looked up, and it was translated. I think it was actually a good choice of translation. Talk about it once we get to it. Yeah. So he says, I'd even offered 3 million, and Oshino's like, oh yeah? Well then, you just raised the price. Nice haggling, buddy. And he responds, this isn't a joke, Jodan Janakte, and he responds, Shodan des, or something, which they translated to comedy and commodity, just to make them similar words, because they are in Japanese, Jodan, Shodan. But Shodan is negotiation. And I think that's a little bit of a different meaning. It's not a commodity. This is a negotiation over the life of Hanakawa. And it'll cost you 3 million yen. So all he does is give him a hint. He's not actually going to save him. And this is something that Oshino does frequently. He doesn't take the action himself. He just provides a little bit of information, a little bit of a clue. It's a very mentor character type of thing to do. I'm not going to solve your problems for you, but I'll guide you on the right path. So he bleeds on her a bit, and she heals up. Nice. And she awakens. A little bit of banter. What are you doing caressing my stomach? He's like, just shut up. Shut up. Thank God you're alive. Very cute. She doesn't go and eat the other body parts. Maybe that was just cut for time. Would seem fair. But boing. And boing. And she's much closer to her previous self at this point. So not sure what's going on here with the crows. but it appears that they're part of her vampiric powers, the like shadow entities that vampires can use. So I'd guess that her clothing is potentially part of that. I don't know. But she's back in her, I think this is the same outfit that we first saw her in, or at least mostly the same. And in this form at this age, she reminds me more than anything of Hanakawa's character design, just with white hair, or very light blonde. Yeah, very, very much like Hanakawa. I assume that at this point, because she's aging up as she regains herself, she's probably about the same age. Late teens, probably. And then her later self would be as a fully grown woman, probably physically mid-20s to early 30s. She's still not able to fight. You're going to have to fight Guillotine Cutter. Don't underestimate him, even though he is merely human. Don't really know where his power comes from. Actually, it's stated that he doesn't have powers. But lots of training and cleverness and willingness to get his hands dirty if it helps him reach his goals or defeat his opponents. So I think there's something important in that we're fighting like 3 stages of vampirism. Full vampire, half vampire, and not vampire at all. Indeed, a priest. As Araragi is struggling with his vampiricness. Pretty interesting. Oh, where's that cut of there? Yeah. Now, I'm not sure as usual, but I think this is a fully CG Araragi moving through this CG field. Now, it is a CG field of grass. That's rather obvious, I think. But I think this is a CG Araragi moving through it. Not positive, though. So, meet up with Hanakawa, and I would say that this conversation is kind of the, like, resolution of their thing. And there's a Coke commercial going on in the background, which I think is very funny. So they're having the one conversation as they sit, and then a Coke commercial in the background. It's like, all right. Aha. And then there's this rather interesting discussion about the urge to suck blood, and he says he doesn't. And previously in their first conversation, I had gotten the feeling that that something about his vampireness was part of the reason that he had that outburst and that rather cruel set of sentences toward her. And then here, when she asks this question, something interesting happens. He responds, "Now that you mention it, I don't." And then he glances over at her and then focuses on her body and then gulps. Almost as though he is tempted. But there's an implication here that that's more sexual than it is the desire to suck. So I don't know. He says there's no urge to suck, but then there's that gulp looking at Hanakawa. So he makes one last attempt to push her away, this time much more kindly. He shouldn't come here anymore. And she's entirely accepting of this. He apologizes for his previous behavior. But it's dangerous. I mean, you almost died. I lost my mind. And then he says... Hold on, I want to see if there's anything... Okay, it's flashback. That's it. Blood rushed to my head. I thought someone was going to die. And she asks him, "Me?" He says, "Me." Which I think he means he's equating losing his humanity to death. But I'm not sure. Me. It's a hell of a set of lines. Remember my talk about our strength as humans? When you were wounded, it felt like I was too. And that was exactly what he expressed being afraid of. I think. and it hurt worse than my own wounds. It becomes a weakness. I don't want to become human again if it means losing you. And the corollary would be, to get you back, I would give up becoming human again. Which is exactly what ends up happening. Depending on your definition. Nope, not at all. Then there's this moment where we see her reach out and then change her mind. What an expressive, just really expressive piece of animation. There's no need to say anything about it. And then there are these flashes of her with the bright red umbrella. I just can't figure out why you'd go this far for me. You're like a saint. I'm no saint. And it's not self-sacrifice, it's self-satisfaction. And that is a direct translation. I'm not that good, I'm not that strong. Just do whatever I feel like doing. Now, it appears to me after this scene that Aragi's later character, his later actions that we've seen in Bake, are to an extent an attempt to emulate what he admires about Hanakawa. I think that's really cool. Deceitful and stubborn. But if my presence makes things harder for you, then I've gotten my priorities mixed up. She just wants to help. There is something you can do. Wait for me. Beep, beep, beep. Almost fell for you. Yeah, almost. Mm-hmm. And then Pant says a reward. Where does Aragi's jaw drop? Yeah. Oh, that's great. What? Oh, I love this. If you don't want them, no, 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 no. Who said that? You're never getting these back. And this leads to a promise. This will become my life's purpose, he says. I promise to be by your side. Repaying this debt will be my life's purpose. Just give me the panties. No. And then she makes this yelled statement. Low security skirt. You're gonna have an easy time beating that guillotine cutter person. Alright. They wish each other good luck. See you next term. He's just sitting there smiling. But shit's bad. She's been kidnapped. And that's where we cut to. And Hoshino gives him one piece of advice. Give up on being human. As if you cling to that, there's no way you defeat Guillotine Cutter. I will save you. You're just like, let's get on with this. When the fight starts, you raise your hands, you say I surrender. Starts to raise his hands. He's just laughing. If I can't see you again, there's no point in being human. And then weird shit happens. I don't know. So we get the line from Hoshino again. This time just as text on screen with no audio for it. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what he's running through or toward or away from. Looks awesome though. And then the animation on this stuff exuding from his fingers. Freaking awesome. He kind of becomes the Flash for a bit. Super fucks up Guillotine Cutter. But he doesn't actually. He doesn't kill him. At least as far as I can tell. Instead, he crucifies him. I don't know what any of this is. A depiction of his mental state as he's doing this. I don't know. And then we see the tree. Guillotine Cutter on a cross. Made of the branches that Araki seemed to be in control of. He's just drooping goop. This is clearly inhuman. I've thrown away my humanity, I know. I'm nothing but a monster. He says, carrying the girl. The thing we think of as the hero's place. The human hero's place. Hmm. So, overall thoughts on movie 2, Nekketsu-hen. Really good. Really enjoyable. I think less functional as a standalone movie than the first one. And clearly a chunk of a larger overall story, which shows in its overall structure and lack of much of a satisfying climax. That said, I think if you're going to adapt a larger story into a trilogy this way, this is about as good as you can get. As far as being engaging and interesting and following a lot of different threads all at the same time, I think that this nails it all the way through. The animation, I mean, do I even have to say? It's awesome. It's Shaft with a movie level budget. Hell, just the fight with dramaturgy, with the water and all of the muddy water effects going on and the insane exploding rubble and blood and stylish stuff and the really fluid movements when the characters are moving slowly or they're in slow-mo. Just awesome. Really, really cool stuff. The interactions with Hanekawa are great. She's cute as ever. Very kawaii. really interested in this brewing theme of humanity and what that actually means and what it means to give that up. Especially given that come start of Bake, Aragi says some stuff that implies that he overcame this and is no longer vampiric. He still has some regenerative abilities, but other than that, mostly not a vampire. So he's much closer to human at the beginning of Bake, and I think much closer to human mentally, psychologically, internally as well. So, really interesting. All in all, cool movie. I liked it. Can't wait for the next one. Yep. Nailed it. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. I don't know how long this video is going to end up being. I know that I've probably got a couple hours recorded, and so I'll cut it up and render it and get it out, and yay. If you're watching this on YouTube, then sometime within the next 24 hours, the next episode of Kizu, the next film, will be up on Patreon. So, show stuff. Let's do that. If you liked this video, you can do that. And if you want more videos like this, you might want to sub. And if you are subbed and you're not getting my videos for whatever reason, YouTube is sometimes kind of funky in that regard. The bell maybe can help you with that, potentially. And as always, if you really like this content or want to support the guy who makes it, and this is still bent and funky, you can head over to patreon.com/Teeaboo, that's me, and throw me a couple of bucks, get access to the Discord to chat about stuff, and early access to the next episode of Kizu. Yeah. So, check those out if you want to. Cool. And, yeah. I've been Teeaboo. This has been Kizu 2, Nekketsu-hen. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and as always, I hope to catch you next week in the next and final Kizu. And then after that, I think it's Nisei. So, cool stuff. Hope to see you there. Peace.